Squad, let's go ahead and try our second run at this. We are trying for the trophy that you can get by not killing any of the archers during this fight. Son of a bitch. Okay, so we're going to switch from Fragrant Ring to Thief Ring, and that should get some of the archers off of my back. Now, he just used up my second chance, so we're going to be very careful here. By the way, I finally went back and I looked up a playthrough of Ask the Anax on the Nintendo. Just to find out that they stole that name from Greek mythology. Astyanax is the son of Hector, and I think he gets killed in the Helen of Troy War. I think out of the options that you are given for this fight, staying up here and trying to hit him on the noggin is probably the easier of the two options. I never was very good at stabbing at his ankles, waiting for him to fall over, and then poking him in the head. It was kind of funny seeing somebody play through Astyanax, because in my mind, two things happened. In my mind, Astyanax didn't look like he does in the game. In my mind, he looked exactly like Axe Armor in Castlevania Symphony of the Night on the PlayStation 1. And it reminded me that I have trouble with the I have trouble with the graphics on this game because a lot of the times I don't think that they've improved, and that's obviously not because they haven't improved. It's because in my mind the PlayStation 3 game looked like this, you know? You know, it's only been a very short period of time since I platinumed it on PS3, and already the mind's ability to sugarcoat things and your memory working against me. I'm wearing the brushwood set and he still one-shots me, so might not be anything else I can do for that. I could probably up the damage I could RTSR with the Magic Sword Makoto. But that's about the full extent of it, of what I could do for this strategy. It's a bit like how that press continue advice from a few videos back. Press continue had advice that he said, like, you have to look at things by the number of hits. Don't look at all the other numbers that appear on the screen, because they'll mislead you. Think of everything by the number of hits, and it will steer you much better in making decisions. So with that in mind, it doesn't matter what I wear if the brushwood set is giving me these results. I could come in naked next time and it wouldn't matter. Making it through the rest of the level might be a little bit more difficult, but otherwise it would not matter at all. Okay, I don't have any projectiles. Yeah, it all sucks, so and that also means I can take off my cling ring. That was a stupid decision. There's 2 or 3 of them now. Wrist blade. There we go. I might also be able to do something else here. I did it again, okay. Right now I can't roll out of the way of his attacks, but now I can. You see how press continue on YouTube deserves your support, your Patreon money and everything? He has really good advice. I mean, honestly. I mean, like, of course, he's able to get through the entire game, like, on New Game Plus 5, pure black roll tendency. Using only a Guitar Hero controller that he shoves up his ass and then controls entirely with Kegels, so I mean, it would make sense that the guy has good advice, but look how good his advice is. It's fucking excellent. The guy knows, everything there is to know about this game. Come on, Brock. Yes! We got it, boys. We fucking got it. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Alright, well, that is it for that particular trophy. I was saying a little bit of nonsense last video or the video before that about, what to do whenever you're being patient in some way, shape, or form in this game and you're using patience, which is sort of a skill that can be developed. You're using patience instead of using skill. You don't have to get good, and you don't want your heart surgeon to get good instead of getting good at heart surgery. It's like, yeah, I died on the operating table, but at least my heart surgeon isn't a scrub. No, that's not the way that you're going to approach that situation. I was talking about, my sustainability background and stuff like that. After learning everything about Dancing Rabbit Eco Village and trying to join them and going to South Korea instead because they didn't want me there and they made the right call. Oh, really? I guess on New Game Plus they just allow you to move on if you want to. Shit. I didn't know that. I didn't remember that, anyways. But after doing all that, I began looking around for land. I tried to figure out where you can get free land. Where the fuck do people not have building codes so I could replicate the success of Dancing Rabbit Eco Village, at home, stuff like that. And all of it was very confusing to me, and I didn't really know the answer to a lot of these questions. And it took me a long time to put it all together, but once you do, you can absolutely find a place that doesn't have building codes or work within the building codes. If the building codes are not too draconic, they'll often allow you to build whatever the hell you want as long as it's under 100 square feet. And, that's where the whole tiny house phenomenon comes from, is people building whatever they want and living in it because it's under 100 square feet measured from the outside. So building a tiny house is not too big of a deal, and there are a lot of people who will straight up take some sort of garage or shed and simply retrofit it for their purposes. So that tends to happen quite a bit. So, as I've said before, at the end of the day, you really are looking at a situation where it's a relatively easy thing to build yourself a shelter that you can live in. And iltechsales.com here in the state of Illinois, you know, that is what the website that they're going to send you to if you ask for land owned directly by the government at any courthouse in this state. And you can purchase brochures on there for $5 to $20 or thereabouts. That'll give you more information about the lots that are for sale straight from the government. And Google Maps now has a feature where it can teach you, or it can show you the county lines for each county. So the county that I'm living in, Macoupin County, has no building codes, but most of the towns around here have their own building codes. So you have to find land for sale straight from the government that are outside of town. They're outside of town limits. If they're still in Macoupin County where they have no building codes, or they're in another county that has no building codes. But they're outside of town limits, so it defaults to county rules. Some counties are so draconian they want permission for even temporary structures. And it could be a gigantic pain in the ass. Some towns are such a pain in the ass that they are historic. There's a town called Elsa that's not too overly far away, but it's close to the River Road in St. Louis general area on the Illinois side. It's a town called Elsa, not like the Disney thing or the Pixar thing, but there's an ELSAH. So there's a town called Elsa that is historic. Therefore, any changes to land or a house needs to be done on the inside of the structure. And so if you buy land without a house on it, you can't do anything to it. You could speak to the council about like planting a community garden there or your own garden, but aside from that, they don't want you to make any changes to the land whatsoever. It's historic. It's like a gigantic museum. And there's if you buy a house, you can't change the outside of it, but you can change the inside of it. So you have to find structures, you have to find places for, in your state or a state nearby, you know, consider moving to another state if you can't find relatively easy things to, easy places to find some lack of building codes in your particular state, something along those lines. I got the bright on so I could see the dogs in World 1, 2, or down in the tunnels. But yeah, so it's not just the state of Illinois. There's plenty of states that have no building codes. Texas was famous for having no building codes. After all, Dancing Rabbit Eco Village in Rutledge, Missouri is in the state of Missouri, and it has no building codes. So things like this can definitely work. You don't have to be a carpenter to build your own shelter. 100% of your ancestors did. And once you find a place and then buy it for as low as less than $1,000 per parcel, like it is here in the state of Illinois, anywhere that I've ever checked. So you buy your own land for less than $1,000 per parcel, and you've made sure that it has no building codes and nothing holding you back. Then you can start building your log cabin or whatever you want to take shelter in. You could even just slap a tent on your property or whatever, or buy a camper. Oh, what the fuck? Buy a camper, drag it on there, and just live in the camper, or a tent, or build a yurt, or whatever. There are many, many, many options. And then now you've got your shelter thing under control. And you've got plenty of different options from there. You've got wood burners, outdoor wood boilers. You've got, if you're heating your place with wood, and there is any sort of wood on property, or any even like bio waste or whatever. So enough grass clippings and dried grass and stuff like that to start fires to heat your home, then it's obviously going to be free. On top of all that, now the structure's free. And you can say, yeah, but there's property taxes, but usually they're next to nothing. I know more than one person who pays $16 in property taxes each and every year, and that is their bills. But now they don't have rent, they don't have mortgage. You don't have to go in debt to have a home, to have shelter in some regard. I originally tried to get a mobile home off of Craigslist whenever I was stationed in Oklahoma because it was free. It was listed in the Craigslist.com/free category. They were just like, yeah, I'm paying lot rent on it, so it's free, because it's already costing me $400 a month and nobody's living in it. And I said, like, it's going to cost like $2,000 just to move it or something like that, but after that everything's free. Even if you buy a plot of land and buy a mobile home from the exact same brochures and the exact same websites that your local courthouse is going to send you to, even if you buy your own land and everything, then buy a mobile home from the same brochures and all that crap, and then pay for it to go down there to take one and put it into the other, and then pay for someone to hook up utilities. Utilities don't cost as much as you think that they do either, because utilities will usually run you about $500 or as low as 500 bucks to set up power and water and everything, electricity, and get hooked up to the grid, to the system. You don't have to do the off-grid thing. At what point in time did I lose my second chance? Anyways, so and then after you're paying something along the lines of possibly as low as $16 a year for your property taxes, you no longer have any rent, you no longer have any mortgage, then you can go ahead and buy yourself a used car. Buy yourself a used electric vehicle, and you'll find yourself in the wonderful situation where all you have to do is add solar panels and some batteries to your property, and you no longer have to pay for gas ever again. If you purchase, your electric vehicle outright, because you purchased it used, then that's you no longer have a car payment anymore. If you put solar panels and and batteries on the property, learn how through YouTube University, that sort of thing. If you put all that crap on your property, then you no longer have an electric bill ever again. If you dig your own septic and you don't rely on the grid septic, holy shit, that hit me so hard it took away my second chance. If you dig your own septic and don't rely on the grid septic, then you no longer have to pay a sewage bill ever again. If you dig a shallow well, you no longer have to pay a water bill ever again. You see how this stuff compounds? And it's not like compounding interest or anything like that. It's, it's something that you can look at and watch in real time. You can see just how quick and powerful this stuff is, and it's not the advice of some investor or something like that. It's it's the way that your grandparents used to live. It's the way that your ancestors used to live. It's something that's worked for human beings for possibly thousands of years. I need to take Press Continue's advice again, because this guy's one-shotting me. But this kind of crap has worked for thousands of years, and we've just recently turned our backs on it, and it makes no sense to do so. The solution to all of our problems no longer lie in the future. They lie in the past. And for once, they don't lie. We see these things in the history books. There are people old enough to remember these times that we can ask directly about it. And there's plenty of people all across the planet that still live this exact way. So, getting rid of your bills one at a time, your car bill, your You know, you no longer need credit cards at that point in time. Your house bill, your rent, your electricity, your water, your everything. And if you make less than 2 times the poverty line, then you can rely on a service like I do with PCs for People and the Electronic Benefits Program through the United States, the EBP program through the United States government to give you free internet. And if you already have a phone or you can buy an unlocked phone for relatively cheap, then you can use the government's Lifeline program for possibly as much as unlimited data, depending on which Lifeline program you choose. Because it's all being offered through individual companies. So, like I said, I think a lot of the times nowadays the solution to our problems does not lie in the past or in the future, but it lies in the past. And unlike all these grifters on the internet that you run across over and over and over again, trying to tell you that they found the secrets, you can just look at what people used to do to survive and see, verify that they had nothing that you do not have. They were not blessed in some way that you are not. And as a result, you can replicate their results. So that's one of the things. And of course, you know, I've spoken about mental health and the like. And I've spoken about how the lady I'm dating is working at a place called Centerstone in Alton, Illinois, where she is getting, Centerstone offers free counseling to those who need it. And it is just a block or two away from a place that also offers it's just a block or two away from a place that is a free clinic that offers comprehensive health care treatment for free. Press continue was also the one that taught me about He taught me about the secret dagger cheese. That a lot of people like using the secret dagger as a weapon because poise didn't really exist in this game, so you can stun lock most foes, including most bosses, just by hitting them with nothing but the damn secret dagger over and over again. Unfortunately, the Fed officials Even these miners, I think, are an exception because whenever they rear back, sometimes they don't give you the option of interrupting their attacks, I think. Totally forgot about you, bud. This is a plus 10 secret dagger. Christ. It can't get any better than it is right now. What the fuck? And then, you know, there's gardening. Even back in World War II, they had secret gardens. It was something that was encouraged by the U.S. Government for rationing purposes. So that the good stuff, the easy stuff, can go to the troops. Closing the distance didn't do me any favors at all. Damn it. Oh, see. So then once you garden enough, you can gather enough food that you no longer have a grocery bill anymore. So you can, in fact, get rid of your bills one at a time until you are paying next to nothing every single month. And if you're paying next to nothing every single month, then how much money do you have to make in order to live and exist? Well, next to nothing. To gather $16 a year for your property taxes is not going to be a big deal. And you no longer have to, you know, deal with somebody abusive just so they'll be your roommate and pay the other half of the bills. You'll no longer have to work a job that you absolutely hate, hoping for retirement or something like that. You'll no longer have to go to school specifically because you want to find a higher paying job. None of these things apply anymore to you. You could retire that day and simply come out of retirement to work 2 hours a year at a job that pays $11 an hour, which is the current minimum wage in my state. I don't think anybody is going to throw too big of a fit to work 2 whole hours a week or 2 whole hours a year in order to pay 100% of their bills. So the whole thing with this series is all about how to replace skill with patience. And a lot of people will counteract that statement by saying, well, I don't have time to develop patience, much less skill. I have to cram all of my enjoyment within a very short period of time and then get back to work. Well, with this in mind, you no longer have to do that anymore. In one way, shape, or form, you can begin investing in your future, and it's not going to have some humongous buy-in. I can remember I used to get credit card offers in the mail that had initial spending limits of $5,000, and even if you don't get credit card offers like that, if you haven't maxed out your student loans, you can borrow the max for student loans. Son of a bitch. You can borrow the max for student loans and get about $4,000 a semester. And that's more than enough to buy everything I've mentioned so far. The phone, a greenhouse, you know, the plot of land, something to use as shelter. I'll pay all the bills and whatnot. It's more than enough to take care of all of those separate problems. And those answers involve being in the past. A lot of times people will still balk at this whole off-grid thing. But the fact of the matter is, if you've successfully camped before, then you've lived off-grid. If you did it for 24 hours, then you can do it for the rest of your life. The difference lies in just time. And say, well, I used, I may have, you know, camped at a tent, but I used a public restroom. Nothing's stopping you from continuing to do that as well. Whether it's because you live close enough to a 24-hour facility for you to do so, or whatever. And of course, I've spoken about composting toilets earlier as well, so you're not going to successfully, you know, make any excuses with me. I fully support pooping in a bucket. And many of the RV people out there are switching to that system because it's cheaper, easier, and better for the environment than most of the alternatives. And so the composting toilet and everything. Anyways, I've wasted enough of your time. I wanted to clarify a few things. I wanted to give you some options for, you know, having a little bit more time if you think that you're pressed for time. And yeah, I always want to spread the good word of sustainability, you know. That's my bachelor's degree, so of course I didn't pack any fucking arrows. Whatever. That's my problem, not yours. Okay, so I've wasted enough of your time, so I'll let you go again. Talk to you next time I get the chance.